so today we're going to be talking about agriculture advocacy, and to do that we're going to define some key terms and then learn about an issue that's facing agriculture and sort of narrow our focuses, and then we're actually going to talk about what we can do to make an impact on American agriculture. So let's go ahead and get our brains flowing this morning. Someone give me just a definition of what agriculture is, just really simple.
Cultivation.
Cultivation. Okay, so what are some key issues facing agriculture today? American agriculture, more specifically. Shout it out.
Feed shortages.
Food shortages, okay. Urban sprawl.
Farm bill.
Farm bill. What about farm bill?
We don't have one.
We don't have one. Okay. Anything else? Any other issues we can think of? Okay, so one of the big issues that gets thrown around all the time is anti-animal agriculture advocacy groups that really, try to make sure that animal agriculture doesn't happen. And so what we're going to do right now, go ahead and grab one of those printer sheets of paper and let's go ahead and place those in front of us. On this printer sheet of paper, we're going to be writing down our own definition of what anti-animal agriculture is, just whatever you think it is, some words to describe it. And then also we're going to write down 2 key examples that we've witnessed, whether that's on TV or in person. And if you haven't witnessed anti-animal agriculture or these groups or been, a part of it, then you can just sort of make up some general ideas of what you think that would look like if you witnessed that. What questions are there in regards to what's going on in this paper? Okay, go ahead and start doing that, and when you're done, go ahead and fold that paper into a paper airplane and wait for further instruction. Probably be getting close to starting folding the paper if you haven't gotten it already.
What do you mean, you people?
Okay, take about 30 seconds to wrap that up. And then once you folded your paper airplane, it's as good as it's gonna get, just throw it somewhere across the room. These are good
That was
paper
cold.
airplanes.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Shut this crap
You gonna fold the paper airplane?
Yeah.
That was wonderful. Okay, so now let's stand up and grab a paper airplane that isn't ours and then bring it back to our desk.
Oh, should we open it? You didn't. You did not.
Okay, go ahead and open those paper airplanes. Read what the other person was, wrote on it, read the definition or 2 examples. And let's have 3 volunteers share what's on their paper airplane.
Say that?
Good.
It says animal rights, PETA, more crops, less animal, letting animals live on their own, and less jobs, more hunger.
Okay. Let's have another volunteer. Go for it, Mitch.
Just the farming side of agriculture, such as plants, without the use of animals to provide anything to people. Anything.
Okay, let's have one last volunteer. Go ahead.
Groups against animals being treated in a way that seems inhumane, sometimes peaceful, sometimes violent. And they said PETA and some Democrats.
Thank you very much. Okay, so now that we've kind
Go
of
balls.
learned and discussed what anti-animal agriculture is and some examples of that, we're actually going to read a Farm Bureau article. It's from Iowa Farm Bureau. Don't grab it yet, just leave it right there. We're going to read it. Just take note of anything that catches your eye. Just underline it, put a star beside it. But, take your time, read it thoroughly. Let's go ahead and take 3 or 4 minutes to do that. So go ahead and grab those articles and take note of anything important on them.
You're not wearing flannel today. Slightly disappointed. You wear flannel a lot.
I don't pay that much attention to what I'm doing.
when we're done reading the article, and no rush to anyone who's not finished, we have plenty of time, but go ahead and stand up next to this flip chart so we know that everyone's done. So just when you're finished, if no one's finished, that's fine. But when you are finished, stand up next to this flip chart. Yeah, and take your papers. It's good to like. Okay, so let's hear some things that we found that were important, that we either highlighted or put a star next to or wrote down.
It's a true economic investment.
True economic investment to work against anti-animal agriculture?
Yes.
Okay.
They've got more than $300 million in taxes and funds. That's a lot.
You've got to have the local community to help support the farmers. They can't do all that themselves.
Definitely, so you have to have support. You know, farmers only make up, 2% of all Americans, so we have to make sure that we're supporting American agriculturists to make sure that American agriculture has a good future. Anyone else have anything they'd like to share?
Coalition to Support Iowa Farmers is a group.
It is, indeed. Thank you, Mitch. Okay, let's have someone read this flip chart, the definition of advocacy for us.
Advocacy, public support for or recommendation of a particular cause or policy.
So what does being an agriculture advocate mean, according to this definition?
To support agriculture.
Supporting American agriculture. We're doing the opposite of what those anti-animal agriculture groups will be doing. And on an even broader spectrum, you know, the USDA is shut down right now, but, you know, we're trying to maybe work towards a farm bill eventually, maybe if the government ever starts working again. But the idea of maybe to advocate for agriculture on a different level would be maybe talking to some of our representatives and our senators and trying to make sure that they know how we feel about American agriculture and how important we know it is. So it's making sure that we provide a voice for American agriculturists since they're such a small part of the population. So what we're going to do in a minute, we're going to do something called wall talk. And there's kind of a different version of it where you do chalk talk, but obviously you can't do like chalk on the ground because it's carpet. So we're going to do wall talk with markers. What we're going to do is have a conversation, a silent conversation with each other, and answer the question of what can we do to make an impact on American agriculture. So not even just anti-animal agriculture and how we can work against those groups that promote that, but how we can impact agriculture as a whole, whether that's agriculture literacy or, you know, teaching an ag class or making sure, even if you're a kindergarten teacher, incorporating agriculture lesson plans like Elena would be so great at doing. So we're going to have that silent conversation. If someone writes a good idea on the board, you know, don't be afraid to question it. Say, how are we going to do this? Let them respond. And so we're just going to have that conversation with each other and answer this question. What questions are there? Okay, go ahead and grab a marker, and we'll take about 5 minutes to do this wall talk. Oh, that one will. Like once. Make sure we get in there with our thoughts and ideas. If we haven't written something in a while, find something to question or comment on or whatever moves you. Okay, let's go ahead and wrap up those thoughts, just have one more person writing, and then just go ahead and stay standing at the Okay, let's shout out some things that we see on the board.
To contact the state representatives.
Okay. What else?
Keep people involved in ads that aren't really involved.
How can we do that?
Community gardens, garden workshops, and seed saver.
Thank you
There
guys.
you go.
Anything else you'd like to point out? I see community outreach with ag industries. What does that mean? How can we do that?
Kind of like more communication between like maybe farmers and the community, especially with like the inhumane treatment of animals, because most of the time it's more like standard practice. So that'll give them that information.
So make sure that we're educating and having those strong relationships. Okay, thank you very much. Great job, everyone. Let's go ahead and take our seats. Okay, so during this workshop, we've talked about agriculture advocacy. We've defined what advocacy is. We've talked about anti-animal agriculture, which is a little bit more specific area of need for agriculture that needs that advocacy. And then we even talked about how we can make an impact on American agriculture through advocacy. So thank you for your attention and participation. I really appreciate it.